Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're taking a really profound look at a critical and often heartbreaking aspect of the conflict in Gaza. We're
Mhm.
talking about the immense human cost, not just for residents, but also for international visitors and, crucially, the humanitarian aid workers caught right in the middle of it all. We've got a stack of important sources here, detailed casualty reports, assessments on infrastructure damage, insights into the operational environment for those trying to help. It's quite a lot to get through.
That's right. And our mission today really is to pull out the key insights from this material. We want to help you understand not just what's happening, but why it matters so much, especially for the civilians and, the humanitarians working under just extreme pressure. We'll be drawing on data from the casualties of the Gaza war, Wikipedia entry, which is kept pretty up to date, a UK government policy note on security, the big World Bank, EU, and UN damage assessment, the IRDNA, they call it, and also a recent quite stark report from Doctors Without Borders, or MSF.
So the goal is clear. We want to uncover the specific experiences of people who weren't residents, visitors, aid workers, and really grasp the scale of this humanitarian crisis, how it's impacted them, alongside the local population in ways that are frankly unprecedented. Okay, let's unpack this. Now, usually when we talk about casualties in a conflict, our focus naturally goes to the local populations, right? Those directly involved. But what's striking in our sources is the number of international visitors, workers, people from all over who've been tragically impacted. What stands out to you here, looking at this sort of global dimension?
Well, it's exactly that the global footprint of this conflict. It's something that maybe gets overlooked sometimes. I mean, the casualty source, as of late July 2025, puts a total killed at over 61,800. That includes 1,983 Israelis and nearly 60,000 Palestinians. Huge numbers. But within those figures, there's this incredible diversity of nationalities among the victims. It just powerfully shows how interconnected things are. A conflict that seems localized actually reaches out and affects people from everywhere, people who were just living there or working or maybe just visiting.
That's a really important point. It completely shifts how we think about who's caught in the crossfire. And when you look at the specifics, like from the October 7th attacks, the lists of killed or missing read like a UN roll call. The sources give some harrowing examples. 10 Nepalese students killed at Kibbutz Alumim, migrant workers from Thailand and the Philippines, too. In fact, at that same kibbutz, Alumim, at least 28 Thais were killed and 17 captured. And there's this chilling detail in the source. It notes Hamas specifically targeted the foreign workers' living areas because the main kibbutz residential part was successfully defended by guards.
Wow.
Yeah, it suggests maybe a calculated choice, exposing just how vulnerable these international workers are in conflict zones.
Precisely. And connecting that to the broader data, you see significant numbers of foreign nationals overall. We're talking at least 31 Americans killed, 13 missing, 13 French citizens killed, 17 missing, and that includes 4 children, 17 British citizens reported dead or missing, and beyond that, confirmed deaths of Ukrainians, a Cambodian student, a Chilean woman. It goes on, which raises that key question. Why were so many foreigners there? What roles were they playing? The sources mention peace activists like 74-year-old Vivian Silver. She was on the board of a human rights group. Also caregivers. They're among those believed to be held captive.
It really paints this picture of individuals from absolutely all walks of life, people working for peace or just providing care, who found themselves in just unimaginable danger. The sources list families, kids, people at that festival, elders, activists, caregivers believed to be held captive. One really poignant example is Alex Danzig, a 75-year-old historian. He wrote books on Poland's Jewish community, the Holocaust, taken from Near Oz. It shows this isn't just impacting two sides, it's a truly global human tragedy hitting very diverse communities.
And that profound human cost, it extends directly and tragically to those trying to help, trying to alleviate the suffering. So moving from visitors, the sources show an equally dire situation, maybe even more desperate for humanitarian aid workers. The conflict has turned Gaza into one of the most dangerous places on earth for aid workers. Full stop. The casualty source reports over 224 humanitarian aid workers killed as of July 2025. And what's truly heartbreaking within that number, 179 of them were employees of UNRWA, that's the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees.
179 UNRWA staff. That number, over 224 total, is just staggering. To give that context, the UN had already reported 102 UNRWA employees killed by December 1st, 2023. They called it the highest number killed in any conflict in the UN's entire history. That statistic alone tells you something incredibly stark about the environment these people are working in. What do the sources say about why it's so dangerous for them?
It's precisely that operational environment. the UK Home Office policy note, it paints a really chilling picture. It emphasizes that, quote, protection from the state is unavailable. Why? Because of, quote, indiscriminate violence across the Gaza Strip. So this isn't just about general conflict danger. It means aid workers, just like civilians, have no safe haven. There's no one guaranteeing their safety. And that same UK note says internal relocation within Gaza, not considered reasonable. Because the conflict is so unpredictable and fast-moving, they literally have nowhere safe to go.
And the MSF source, Doctors Without Borders, they really drive this home with some devastating quotes. They report that aid workers are now joining the same food lines, risking being shot just to feed their families. They talk about humanitarian groups watching their own colleagues waste away, and that supplies are now totally depleted. It's just a picture of extreme personal risk and complete system failure.
And the challenge of actually delivering the aid, it's immense. It's not just the physical danger, though that's huge. The MSF report says aid distributions in Gaza average, get this, just 28 trucks a day.
28.
For over 2 million people.
Exactly. 28 trucks. It's nowhere near enough for over 2 million people, many of whom, MSF says, have gone weeks without any assistance. And MSF makes this crucial point. They argue the UN-led humanitarian system has not failed. It has been prevented from functioning. Access denied, teams blocked from reaching people. It really raises questions about, well, operational control and the breakdown of basic order.
You're right to flag that. The UK policy note mentions the Hamas-run civilian police. They had been helping secure aid trucks, but they left their posts after being targeted themselves. And this created, the note says, a security vacuum.
A vacuum?
Yeah, leading to trucks being overrun by criminal gangs and also just desperate Palestinians trying to get anything they could. It sounds like utter chaos for anyone trying to deliver or receive help. It is. The New York Times, which is cited in that UK note, confirmed it. Organized crime groups have filled the vacuum. They're attacking aid trucks daily. So this breakdown of law and order, it just piles on more unprecedented security risks for the aid organizations. The UN OCHA emphasized this too. It means every single aid delivery isn't just a logistical nightmare, it's a life-threatening gamble for the people on the ground.
Okay, so we've got the direct human cost for international visitors and these absolutely impossible life-threatening conditions for aid workers. But these challenges, they're magnified massively by the very environment they're working in, a landscape just shattered by the conflict. And this is where that big assessment, the Gaza and West Bank Interim Rapid Damage and Needs Assessment, the IRDNA, provides a truly stark and, frankly, deeply distressing picture of, well, societal collapse.
Yeah, what's really critical about the IRDNA is how comprehensive it is. It looks at the damages, the needs, everything. It's a joint assessment, World Bank, UN, EU, and it estimates the total physical damage in Gaza as of early October 2024 at around $29.9 billion US dollars.
$29.9 billion. How does that compare to the economy there before?
Well, get this. It's equivalent to 1.8 times the entire pre-conflict annual GDP of both the West Bank and Gaza combined. So it's not just damage.
Yeah.
It's economic and infrastructural obliteration.
So for you listening, what does that catastrophic level of physical destruction actually mean for daily life? And maybe even more critically, for the possibility of delivering aid? How do all these destroyed systems kind of interact to make things even worse?
It means devastation across all the critical sectors. And these failures cascade, they compound each other, making the humanitarian crisis deeper. Housing, predictably, took the biggest hit, about $15.8 billion in damage. But the key thing for humanitarian efforts is the near-total collapse across all essential services. This affects everything from basic survival to aid delivery itself. Let me give you some examples. Health. Just imagine, 95% of hospitals, 91% of private clinics, 88% of public health centers completely or partially destroyed.
Almost everything.
Almost everything, including vital things like medical waste disposal, the cold chain for vaccines and medicines almost totally destroyed. The health sector losses are estimated at $6.3 billion, and tragically, over 1,700 health workers are reported missing. So even if some aid gets in, there's almost nowhere effective to treat people.
Unbelievable.
Education. The assessment found 100% every single one of educational facilities are either destroyed or damaged. This means all 745,000 children and youth have been out of formal schooling for over a year. The long-term impact? It's hard to fathom. And tragically, over 11,000 students and 539 teachers or faculty have died.
Just awful.
WWH, that's water, sanitation, and hygiene. Over 89% of these assets are destroyed or damaged. We're talking water wells, reservoirs, all 6 wastewater treatment plants, gone or broken. This cut safe drinking water output to less than 30% of what it was. Think about that. An estimated 40% of Palestinians in Gaza don't have access to even the bare minimum 6 liters of safe water per person per day. It's a massive public health crisis waiting to explode.
Yeah.
Energy. Around 80% of power generation and distribution, destroyed or not working. This hits everything. Water systems rely on power, hospitals rely on power for life support, transport, and this is critical for moving aid. 81% of the main road network, 62% of all roads are damaged or destroyed. Plus, 85% of what they call rolling stock cars, taxis, heavy trucks needed to move aid destroyed. It basically paralyzes ground movement for aid, even if it manages to get into Gaza.
It really sounds like a complete, total collapse of everything needed to sustain a civil society, to sustain life itself. And the human element of this destruction,
Yeah?
it goes even further than the living, right? The IRDNA mentions nearly everyone, 1.9 million people displaced, often multiple times. But what about those who aren't even visible in these numbers?
That's another incredibly grim point. The sources talk about 41 to 47 million tons of debris generated by the destruction and buried under that debris. They estimate over 10,000 people are expected to still be there.
10,000 under the rubble.
Yeah, and what makes recovery even more perilous is that this debris is extensively contaminated with explosive ordnance, unexploded bombs, shells, EO. This makes clearing the rubble incredibly dangerous, incredibly slow. It's a lethal threat to anyone trying to recover bodies or even just start rebuilding. The situation is so bad that Save the Children estimated back in June 2024 that up to 21,000 children were missing due to bombings, the war, with maybe 4,000 of them likely still lost in the rubble. It's like a silent catastrophe happening beneath the surface.
It truly is an unimaginable situation, one that just leaves a permanent scar. You see quotes like the UNRWA Chief of Staff Ben Mudchekodonmi calling the reported 40,000 killed an unspeakable tragedy. Islamic Relief said it should be a source of eternal global shame. And the UN Human Rights Chief, Volker Turk, reflecting on all this, stated, and this is a direct quote from the sources, this unimaginable situation is overwhelmingly due to recurring failures by the Israeli Defense Forces to comply with the rules of war. It's a crisis that clearly demands urgent global attention. So this deep dive, it's really shown us the profound, multi-layered human cost of this conflict. It goes way beyond combatants. It deeply affects international visitors and, crucially, the very people trying to deliver life-saving humanitarian aid. The numbers are staggering. The infrastructure is decimated. The personal stories of loss. It all paints a devastating picture, a picture that really demands our full attention and our understanding.
Absolutely. We've seen how organizations like UNRWA, like MSF, they're on the ground, but they are critically hampered. Not just by the direct violence, but by this landscape of destroyed infrastructure, these dangerous security vacuums, and severely restricted access. And this has led directly to mass starvation, a dire lack of basic services on a scale we rarely see. And the challenge of recovery, of reconstruction, it's immense. That IRDNA report estimates the needs at 53.2 billion US dollars, but it's not just about money or rebuilding structures. It's complicated by huge issues like clearing millions of tons of debris, dealing with all that unexploded ordnance, sorting out complex land ownership. It makes any return to normalcy just a monumental, maybe generational task.
It really leaves us with a challenging thought, doesn't it? In our world, which is so interconnected now, how do conflicts like this force us to rethink international responsibility? Not just responsibility for diplomacy or sending aid, but for ensuring the basic safety of everyone caught up in it, no matter their role or where they came from. And maybe more pointedly, what is the experience of these humanitarians risking their lives every day just to get maybe 28 trucks of aid through it? What does that tell us about the future, or perhaps the present failures of our global humanitarian response system in this rapidly changing, often brutal world? Something for you to think about until our next deep dive.